Want to record or you want me to, Andrea?
I hit
You
the
already did
button.
it. Okay. Anthony, you want to say hello? You're muted though.
I knew that. Good afternoon. Welcome to another wonderful episode of your favorite office hours, MS National Office Hours. Today is October the 17th, 2024. Today we have a spectacular special guest for you, but first let me introduce your magnificent hosts.
Hey everybody, I'm Stephanie Stevens.
And I'm Andrea Sangrio.
And we are so happy to welcome Mariah Kent with us today from Auburn University. She is the instructional designer and AI implementation specialist at Auburn. And we are super excited to just hear about their journey, right? And I want to start by giving a little bit of pre-show grace. Auburn is not the only institution that has done this work. They're just one institution that is willing to share broadly for the benefit of the general community of higher education. So just because it's worked for them doesn't mean that you have to do it the same way for it to work for you. But I think sharing is caring. So I just appreciate your willingness to come and share your journey and the journey of Auburn. And also just shameless plug, Auburn is one of my customers and I'm so, so happy and just really, I'm super grateful that I get to spend time with them and help them in the journey. So we will mute ourselves, fade to the background, Mariah, and turn it over to you. And we will be monitoring the chat for questions. So I'll shout out if somebody has something urgent they need, but otherwise we'll take questions at the end.
Awesome. Thank you so
Great.
much, Stephanie. I always tell everyone I want to be Stephanie Stevens when I grow up. So thank you so much. That was an awesome welcome. I'm really happy to be here. Yes, I am Mariah Kent. I'm an instructional designer here at Auburn University. Just a little bit about Auburn before I get started. We are a land grant institution in the state of Alabama, and our mission is to improve the lives of the people of Alabama, the nation, and the world through forward-thinking education, life-enhancing research and scholarship, and selfless service. And at Auburn, we are committed to excellence and innovation. And I think you'll see that reflected in how we rolled out an M365 Copilot Beta Program. So I'm going to be talking with you just a little bit about how we created and implemented that program. I'm going to be talking a lot about collaboration. So I really care about you. If you want to stay hydrated, I recommend you take a drink of water every time you hear the word collaboration. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get into it. I do want to talk a little bit about my role. So I am an instructional designer. I'm housed in our human resource development department. I'm a facilitator, I'm a teacher, a trainer, an e-learning developer, and I'm passionate. I'm passionate about providing personal and professional growth opportunities for our faculty, staff, and students here at Auburn University. I'm not an IT person. I don't really know about the techie background stuff. But I say this because I really want to highlight that our Copilot Beta program has been one of great internal and external collaboration. And the work I do wouldn't be possible without the support of our Office of Information Technology, the Big EO Center for Teaching and Learning Enhancement, our Microsoft partners, and so many more folks across our campus. So my role as an instructional designer has been to leverage my skills to support and shape our M365 Copilot program. So this immediate takeaway here is that everyone has a role to play in this work. It's finding your collaboration partners at your institutions that I think is key to doing this work well. But I'm going to go over a way that we did it here at Auburn that is easily replicable, I think, at any institution. So a little bit about where it started. In January of this year, Auburn University hosted AI Day through our Big EO Center. During that time, our deans and executive leaders were asked to identify a couple of folks that would be good participants for a Copilot Beta program. And through funding from our Big EO Center, we had resources for 100 people that would be supported by our OIT department for the data security and licensing piece. And then the question sort of became, well, what does a beta program look like for us here at Auburn University? And that's where I sort of raised my hand and said, hey, how can I help? So together we all developed sort of this 4-part strategy: communication, training, social learning, and feedback. And I'm going to talk about each of these 4 parts so you can sort of see what went into our recipe, starting with communication. So the first thing that we did was we sent out an email letting folks know that they had been identified and were invited to be part of the program. So really simply what this email contained was like, hey, you're invited. And then it had a link to mandatory training that had to be completed before access would be provisioned. Then we talked about setting expectations, so sort of what is next. You're going to be added to a Teams channel. We expect you to be engaged. Your feedback is crucial. And then thanking our participants for being so committed to innovation and really investing time in themselves, but also in our institution and the future of Copilot here at Auburn University. So I'm going to talk next to you a little bit about that mandatory training that you see a link here for in our invitation email. So we have asked folks to complete a learning path that is housed within our employee LMS called Your Guide to Copilot and M365 Copilot. It's made up of both in-house developed training and LinkedIn learning courses. So I'm going to play this little, you can sort of see this in-house developed training. We used Articulate Rise to create this. So it's about 20 minutes, and I do want to talk just a little bit about the makeup of this 20-minute training. It's a quick introduction called an Introduction to AI and Microsoft Copilot at Auburn University. It starts out with just some basics around AI, so creating a shared language and making sure everybody's on the same page around, what's general AI versus narrow AI, what's public versus private AI. Making sure that everybody just sort of has that general understanding of the basics. And then we go into using AI responsibly. So we sort of took some lessons learned from social media. So we were reiterating good cyber hygiene habits. Don't put PII, don't put FERPA or HIPAA information. Make sure that your data is clean when you're working with AI. And then we also took this opportunity to surface Auburn University's advisory guidance on the use of generative AI tools, which was coming out of our Office of Audit Compliance and Privacy. So we made sure that our folks knew that that was there and had an opportunity to see it and interact with it as well. So after that, we introduce Microsoft Copilot, and we talk a little bit about the data protection and security that it offers and why it is Auburn's sort of preferred AI. And then we show them how to log in with their Auburn credentials and then provide them some example prompts. I really want to share that this course was, again, a very collaborative effort. It was reviewed by our Office of Audit Compliance and Privacy, who authored our AU advisory guidance on the use of generative AI tools. It was reviewed by our Microsoft partners, who really helped add some clarity and some more information that was really crucial for this. Our AI at AU Education Committee reviewed it, and also folks from our library and Big EO Center as well. So it's very much a collaborative effort to make sure that this course was a solid introduction for our Auburn family. The rest of the course was made up using Microsoft training that is available through our LinkedIn Learning integration. So we pulled Copilot in Teams, Copilot in Outlook, Copilot in Word, PowerPoint, and Excel. So those really major applications. And it is about 3.5 hours of learning. So it is a little bit of a heavy training lift. But once training is completed, folks are added to a completion report. And they are also earn a badge, which you can see here, this beautiful badge that was designed by my colleague, Kim Graham. So folks have been really taking that badge and adding it to their signature line. We've seen it posted on LinkedIn. It's also been shared across other social media as well. So it's a motivating bonus as well. People can say, like, I did this, and then they're added to that completion report, which I get every morning. And so when I receive that report, I then collaborate with my folks in OIT, and I say, hey, this is who's completed our mandatory training. Can we provision them a license? And once they are provisioned a license, I then add them to a team in Microsoft Teams called Tiger Tech Leaders, which I will talk about now. So when they get added to the Tiger Tech Leaders team, I have also leveraged Power Automate, really short, simple flow, to send this immediate welcome email. So this is our second big piece of communication here. So a couple things I want to point out for this communication. We have a welcome sentence here, and you can see that our Tiger Tech Leaders, we stand for technology, innovation, growth, efficiency, and results. And I've received some feedback on this email that it is very welcoming, and it sets the values and the culture and the tone of the group right away. So folks know the collaborative and community nature of what we're doing, and they know that we are what we stand for, right? Technology, innovation, growth, efficiency, and results. And it doubles because here at Auburn, we're the Tigers. So it's a really warm welcome. Then we have expectation setting. So we let folks know, hey, you've been added to the team, make sure to enable your notifications. Then we let them know that their feedback is incredibly valuable, and we do expect them to be engaging in feedback, whether that's a survey or in the chats or biweekly check-ins that we hold. And then just some housekeeping around how quickly they can expect to experience Copilot access. And then we've also recently been encouraging folks to share the training, because once folks finish that, they're added then to that priority list to be added to the program. And then, of course, we always end with a thank you to folks' commitment to innovation, because they are now part of the conversation and shaping what Copilot looks like here at Auburn University. So this is really that social learning piece of our four-pronged approach as well. And this is just a screenshot of what folks see when they come into the Tiger Tech Leaders team. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the orientation around this team and what we're using to make this a successful learning experience. But I also want to let you know that this team is not just made up of our participants in the Copilot Beta Program. We also have representatives from Microsoft. So huge shout out to Stephanie and Amy Bandy-Taylor, because they have been very active and super helpful, amazing collaborative partners in this team. And so we have also leveraged tags within Microsoft Teams so that we don't have to @ our Microsoft collaborators individually. We can just @ the Microsoft team, and then they're able to help us with issues that maybe need to get surfaced or that we couldn't figure out internally for ourselves as well. So that has been an excellent experience. So we have also, over here on the left side, you can see we've made really good use of channels, which was also Amy's guidance, which was fantastic. So you can see that we have a channel for each of the major apps that we're using Copilot in. This has been excellent because we can really dig in deep on specific apps and talk about our successes, our challenges, questions that we're having, ways to use it that maybe folks haven't thought of before. So that's been really helpful, and having our Microsoft representatives there giving us resources and guidance on those specific apps has also been very fruitful for our folks as well. So coming back up to that top row with kind of posts, files, and tasks, you can see that we also have Prompt Buddy. So we've had a little bit of an evolution around prompt repository collecting. At the very beginning, I started a OneNote, which was where we started putting prompts, but we had sort of a copy paste. There was a lot of room for human error there. So once Prompt Buddy came online, we sort of transitioned to that, and that has been really excellent to build out a very Auburn specific repository of prompts. So I'll give you a quick example. We have a prompt that we created that is used in M365 chat. And it basically says, hey, Copilot, could you please look at my work for the last 1 week and tell me how it aligns with Auburn University's strategic goal of a commitment to excellence and innovation. And so that's a very institutional specific prompt, but it really yields some great insights for us. And that's there in Prompt Buddy, available for anybody to add to it or use it. So that's been very good. We're transitioning a little bit towards Copilot Lab. So we're sort of in that middle area where we're using both of those combined together for prompting, but I do recommend Prompt Buddy if y'all are looking for a place to build prompts out for your institutions. The next thing I will talk about is the general channel. So you can see here, we have a check-in meeting coming up soon. Our general channel is definitely a place for announcements, and it's also where we host and create a agenda for our bi-weekly check-ins. So we have bi-weekly check-ins that are 30 minutes long. They are hosted on Teams. So if anybody misses it, they can use Copilot to go back and review and ask questions. And we make use of Loop within that agenda to build what folks want to talk about it. So it's a community built agenda. So all of our users are able to add to that. Of course, we have some announcements, but then the rest of the time is really available for our folks to tell us what they want to talk about. They can ask questions. They can share challenges that they've been running into. A lot of times we've had really awesome, quick, short demos. Somebody demoed using a document in PowerPoint and then using Copilot to create a presentation from that document. We had another person that demoed taking handwritten notes and using Copilot to turn that into an Excel spreadsheet. So it's been really useful I've had a number of people even come back and say this was the most useful 30 minutes of their week. So that's a huge win. And I highly recommend if you are going to be doing anything like this to have that type of touch point, because it is another piece of social learning and community building that also uplifts those values around the culture that we want to see around AI and Copilot here at Auburn University. So that leads me to what is our participant makeup? Who is part of our study? We have 120 active users representing all 3 governance groups here at Auburn University. So that's faculty, administrative and professional, and university staff. And we do have a couple of students at the moment. We have representation from 61 different colleges and units across campus. So we have utilities, facilities, the Raptor Center, human resources, agriculture, pharmacy, music. I could continue. And counting. We have folks that are completing that training and joining the study truly daily. So with that, we are also collecting feedback, obviously, around the work that we are doing. So our study really truly began in earnest in April 2024. And so we collected feedback in July 2024. We had a couple of internal survey questions that we asked folks. This was pre-Viva Insights availability. I think we were 2 users short of having access to Viva Insights at the time that we did this initial survey. But we asked about adoption and usage, and then we used the 4 global benchmarks that Microsoft had set from its earliest users of Copilot in 2023. So around productivity gains, quality of work, reduced mental effort, and increased speed. So what you can see here is that most of our users are using Copilot multiple times per week, and we are even outperforming on those global benchmarks. So we also had some quantitative data that we collected or qualitative data that we collected as well. And from that, if I could sum it up in one sentence, I would say most people are saying, this has saved me so much time. Please don't take it away. So it's been really good feedback there. Now that we have 120 users, we are also able to leverage those Viva Insights. So we have a lot more data into how our users are using Copilot. I just checked yesterday, and according to our Viva Insights for the last month, with 121 users, we have had 291 hours of Copilot assisted work valued at an estimated $12,500. This is valuable time that our employees are reporting that they are able to reinvest into mission critical problem solving and relationship building. We also released our next quarterly survey just yesterday, so we're continuing to track these results as well and see what that looks like on an ongoing basis. So with such an investment like this here at Auburn University, you might be wondering, how are we de-risking this? And I can speak to about 3 things that we are doing here. So the first thing I would say is around expectation setting. So of course, we do have that mandatory training that I spoke about earlier. But I would also say that training doesn't have to be so rigid, right? We have a number of deans and executive leaders on this campus that are very interested in using Copilot, but they don't have 3.5 hours to sit down and do mandatory training. So we are piloting, 30-minute, really to the point, quick orientation sessions with those executive leaders so that they can get the most out of this and use it themselves. So training can be, the 3.5 hours, or it can be tailored to the individual at your university that needs it, depending on the role or their responsibilities. The second thing I would say is around engagement. We do set the expectation around feedback and using Copilot and making sure that it is being leveraged effectively and efficiently, which leads me into monitoring our usage. So we have a sort of soft policy of 30 days of inactivity means that we will re-provision your license. So with our Viva Insights, for example, I can see, okay, we have 133 provisioned licenses, but we only have 120 active users. So I can go back to my OIT team and say, hey, what's going on with these 13 other users? And they might come back and say, yeah, we added 10 of them just 2 days ago. So we wouldn't remove their licenses, right? But maybe these other folks, we haven't seen any activity for the last 30 days. So then we would again communicate with them. We would say, hey, due to inactivity, we're re-provisioning your license, but reach back out to us when you're ready to use Copilot. So we're very flexible, but we do want to be good stewards of this investment and make sure that we are monitoring that and that folks are getting the most out of that. And then lastly, gathering feedback and surfacing that feedback to leadership. This is a really incredible privilege and investment that Auburn University is making in its employees. So we want to make sure that we are sharing the incredible impact of this on its users as well. So a few lessons learned to kind of wrap it up here. I would say if this is something that you want to replicate at your university, it's a good idea to identify potential users, but I don't think you have to be so rigid in that. From that initial 100 folks that I mentioned identified on AI Day, I would say we had about 50 of them complete the training, and then we had a large number of folks actually find the training and take the initiative themselves and reach out to us and say, hey, I want to be part of this initiative. We had to have the conversation. Do we stick to the list or do we open it up? And we opened it up. And I think that that's what gave us such an rich data and such an excellent cross-section of the university representation. Leverage your Microsoft partnerships, right? Include them in the conversation because they have such useful tips and tricks, and they're so good at sort of dripping that knowledge and making it really relevant and not overwhelming for folks. And they know the roadmap, which helps keep folks engaged and focused. I would say if you're going to do check-ins like we do, definitely keep them short, keep them useful, give practical tips, share useful prompts, give quick demos. Different people are using Copilot in different ways based on their roles. So promoting that sharing of ideas and implementation is really important, right? No one is an expert. We're all learning this stuff together. Communicate early and often, right? That communication also sets the tone and the culture for what kind of interactions you want around AI and Copilot on your campuses. So communication is key to that. Have a plan for de-risking the investment, right? It doesn't have to be huge. I just shared with you, basically 3 quick things that anybody is able to do and communicate as well. And then lastly, most importantly, find your collaborators. I don't believe this work can be done well or safely in a silo. So that was a lot. What's going on with Auburn next? Where are we headed next? We are continuing to expand access as new people join, again, like I mentioned, daily. And we're really moving out of that beta, like tester mindset and more into a community culture and technology building mindset. And our next sort of what's on the horizon for us is a student beta program. We're looking at launching that here shortly. And I think we're going to be one of the first in the nation to be bringing Copilot to students. Stephanie, correct me if I'm wrong on that. So maybe I'll be back to talk about that another day. But that's pretty much it. I would love to talk more, take questions, but I want to thank you all so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Mariah. I'm going to try to surface some of the things that I saw in the chat really quickly. There are 2 or 3 things that I think would be great for you to just address specifically. So a question from Miriam is, how many members on your team do you have that are managing the pilot program? So you want to talk a little bit about your role really in doing that, and then obviously collaborating with others, but who's actually standing it up, facilitating it, moving it forward?
That would be me. Yes, so I do drive a lot of that interaction. I post the loop agenda. It's just a formulaic, you may have seen in there, I let people know this is a pinned post and, you can add to this. We'll make comments about, don't forget to add your items to the loop agenda. I set up the reoccurring meetings for that stuff, but also, our members are driving that content and what they want to talk about. I also am I do receive the reports, the daily reports. So I'm sort of that first filter of like who has completed it. And then I reach out to a couple of folks who provision licenses. So 2 other folks or 3 other folks in OIT that provision those licenses.
Some of them are lurking in the background here. So there was some call out. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I know Connor at least
Taylor.
is here. Yeah. So
yes,
there was some call outs
Barbara.
for sure, maybe to hear about some of the more technical pieces of just enablement. And then I know a conversation we've had even here on office hours is sort of like data compliance and security in tandem too, as a co-requisite to deploying Copilot. So I think we can probably borrow our friends from OIT to maybe come and do a second episode of the Auburn story and kind of share some of that as well. There's been some asks around just sharing any of the resources that you had from the training, like if you have a list of some of those sessions, anything like that that you want to share with the community would be helpful to them. And then, so the last question, and we'll take this one from Greg, is how often are people collaborating in the team and in those channels? I could answer this one because I'm also in there and I see it, but it's pretty frequent. And pretty organic, and they don't hold back. And I think that's really important. It was part of the build of the culture that they knew that even though our team at Microsoft was in there, that they share the raw footage, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So yeah, I think that's super important to note.
Yeah.
And then Chris, your question around copies of the training course. I'm not sure that that's available. Mariah, we can kind of look into that as a follow-up, but do you want to talk briefly about what's available through the Big EO for just AI readiness? Do we have a quick link that we can share to that? Because I know that's open to other institutions.
Yes, I don't have a quick link on me, but definitely we have
Yeah, I'll
some
grab it.
information. Yeah, certainly if you are interested in particularly like AI training or for faculty, the Big EO Center has an excellent course that is available national, globally. It's teaching with AI, and I'm happy to share a link out to everybody with that. The work in that has been absolutely astounding. In terms of the internally created course that I talked about, that introduction to AI and Microsoft Copilot Auburn University, I am more than happy to share the transcript for that course. And that pretty much has everything that's in that course. So you are welcome to take that and adapt that at your institutions. I will share that in the chat after we're done.
Perfect. Brandon dropped the link in there. Thank you, Brandon.
Oh,
All right, guys,
Brandon.
well, we're going to wrap for today. Again, thank you, Mariah, for sharing the story. And again, you know, there's a lot of different ways to eat the elephant, but I have had a first person front row seat to watch this one, and it's been super successful. So again, hope you can glean something from this. The recording will be posted to YouTube, and we'll share it in the team as soon as we have it ready to roll. So thanks, everybody, and have a great rest of the week and a happy weekend. Thanks, Mariah.
Thank you.